Hi everyone. In this video we're going to show you how to use HitFilm Express to edit videos. HitFilm is a free piece of software you can download on PC or Mac. Before you get started though, make sure you go to fxhome.com, that's their parent company. Create a free account and license or authorize, I forget the word they use, authorize this piece of software so that once you kick out a final video, it's not going to have a watermark overlaid on top of it. So once you get that done, you'll open up HitFilm Express and we're going to ignore all of these billboards and ads and we're going to click on New to get started. Here you can tell it about how long you think your video is going to be. Right now it says 5 minutes. I'm going to keep that. Our video is going to be 1920 by 1080, which is really common. I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to change my frame rate to 30. That's a more common frame rate. And finally I'm going to hit OK. And once you launch it, you should see a window similar to this one. Before I go through a quick layout of the program, let's go to the bottom left window and click on the Media tab. And let's import some media that's going to help us go over the layout. So once you hit that import button, it should let you look through your whole computer for the files you want. I'm going to select these random video clips, and it looks like I got a song in there too, and hit open to begin that import. And in this bottom left window, it's just going to kind of keep all of your media in here. And as you select a different piece of media, it's going to give you in the top left window the ability to play through that clip and then tell it what portions of that clip you want to bring down into the editor timeline. This is where we're going to assemble our whole video. Now real quick, I'm going to just bring this video into my timeline on this video 1 track, and you'll notice that once I do that, I have another window that shows me what is playing on the editor timeline. So the top left video is going to be for what you have selected in your media bin, and your top right video is going to be for what is playing on your editor timeline. On the right, we have some things that will help us align our clips. If we had some pictures on top of this clip, kind of like the news or the Daily Show, we could use that to align those overlaying pictures. We have more on alignment if we had some text or pictures that we wanted to align to the center of our video frame. Once we bring in some text later, here is the window where we'll be able to adjust the color, font size, font type, as well as the alignment of that text in the paragraph window in the bottom right. And finally, we have our audio meters here next to our timeline. We're going to use this to adjust our audio here in a minute or two. Okay, so we can drag and drop clips directly onto our timeline, but let's say I only wanted to bring over 2 or 3 seconds of this tunnel shot, not the entire thing. If I have that clip selected, I can go up to the trimmer window up here and I can tell it, I'm just dragging this playhead. I want it to start right there. So I'm going to hit I on my keyboard to make an endpoint. I'm going to advance it a couple of seconds, and right when it's about to emerge from the tunnel, I'm going to tell it to stop the clip. So I'm going to hit O on the keyboard to set an out point. So now you can see I have a orange kind of range here for where my in point and out point are selected. And if I drag this in here now, and I'm just clicking and dragging it down to the timeline, I have that really quick 3 or 4 second shot in here. Now if I brought this clip down here and I realize I cut this a little bit too soon, I can bring my arrow towards the edge of that clip and it will change to a green bracket, and that's going to let me click and drag to extend that clip, or I can shorten that clip if I want to. But I'm going to extend that for now. Let's pretend like I want this tunnel shot to actually be my first shot. I can rearrange these by just clicking on them and just dragging them around. Now real quick, I'm just going to let's bring in one more shot, and now let's talk about transitions. Now I have a bunch of random shots in here that I didn't pay too close attention to what I was cutting on. So I'm going to throw some cross-dissolve transitions to kind of just soften up those harsh cuts. To do that, I'm going to go over to the Effects tab in the bottom left corner. And if I scroll down, here's a whole bunch of different effects I can apply to the clip. But I'm looking for transitions for video. So if I open up that folder, even more folders full of effects. Let's go into Dissolve, and Cross Dissolve is the one I'm looking for. Now to apply this, I'm just going to click and drag and put it on the seam between two clips. It's really hard to see, but let me go to the bottom of the mountains here and play with that slider just so that we can see these clips a little bit better. Whoa. And what that slider did was zoom in on the timeline. It didn't make these clips any longer. It's just basically zooming in so I can see just this 1 second range here. And now I can see that cross dissolve is a dark blue box between those two shots. Now, similar to the video clips, if I hover towards the edge of that box, my arrow changes to the green bracket, and I can drag this to make that cross dissolve shorter or longer. Oh, real quick, you can hit spacebar to be the play or pause button to preview those cuts. There we go. My computer's having a hard time keeping up today, so that cross dissolve isn't as smooth looking as it will be in the final video. But you get the picture of what it's doing, blending between those two shots. Now I want to apply that cross dissolve to all of my edits. That can get really, really annoying going through all of these drop down menus to find the cross dissolve. So I clicked on the little star icon next to cross dissolve, and what that did was add it to the favorites folder at the very top. So that's a nice trick to be aware of, especially if you know you're going to be applying the same effect to several clips. So let's drag this onto one more, and let's make this a little bit longer just for fun, and we're going to call that good for transitions. Let me zoom out so I can see my entire timeline, and it looks like I have about, looks like I got 47 seconds worth of video in this project so far. So I'm going to come over to my media, and I'm going to select 40 to 50 seconds worth of music. So just like my footage, I can, oh, come on computer. Let me position that to right where the music starts. It looks like that waveform kicks off right there. I'll hit I for my in point, and let's go, that's about 50 seconds in, and I'll hit O for my out point. Now I have this nice little range of audio that I can drag down to my audio 1 channel. All right, now let's give this a play and see. It looks like it's hitting around -6 and 0, and that's a little bit too loud. That's where we get some audio distortion, and it can mess up our audience's ear depending on how they're listening to this. So if I come to this very faint white line here, that's basically our volume controller. So if I get my up and down arrow right there, it'll let me click and drag, and I'm just going to bring this down a little bit. And if I hit play again, it's falling right in that -6, -12 range, which is the sweet spot for video editing. -12, -18 is fine too, but if you start getting around the -24 and 30, it's going to be too quiet for a normal speaker to, or it's not going to be too quiet. It's just not the volume it should be. You want to aim for this -6 to -18 for good volume. All right, and just like our video transitions, I can apply an audio transition to the end of this clip to give it a nice fade out. So I'll come over to Effects, let's scroll towards the bottom to Transitions Audio, and let's add a fade to the end of that. And if I zoom in again, you'll see, whoa, there's that fade out. And let's have that start right around here so that when I play, that's pretty good. I'm gonna shorten this to that. It looks like there's a nice natural kind of fade at the end. And I can live with that. For a demonstration video, that's fine. Okay, so we've got our clips assembled in here. We've got some music, transitions as well. Let's throw some text in here and give it a title at the start. So if I come over to my viewer window here, I have a couple of tools on the side here that I can use. If I click on this A, it's going to activate the text tool. And I'm going to click and drag, kind of like in PowerPoint, a text box where all of my text can live. Just call this HitFilm Demo. And with that text tool still activated, I can select that text, come over to my text window down here, and let's just bump up that font size. And that looks pretty cool. Let's change my font. What's that guy? Well, that's pretty cool. And let's give it a fun color too. How about green? That should stand out on that black tunnel background. And if I look over here on my editor timeline, it's added a new text clip on the video track above my footage. So the way text works is it's going to have a transparent background, and it is going to automatically throw that onto the video 2 channel if there's already something on the video 1 channel. So if, for instance, you were doing an interview video and you wanted it to be just text on a black background introducing a question before it cuts to the interview subject's response, you would take that clip and position it on video 1 all by itself to get that. Oh, let me go back to my black arrow tool. To get that text just by itself with no footage or pictures behind it. But for today, I'm going to put it back on top because I think it looks cool on top of the tunnel. And I'm also going to throw a cross dissolve at the beginning and the end of that text clip too, just so it has a nice fade up and fade out. There we go. And that looks pretty nice. Now, I should have showed you this at the very start, but be sure to save often, and you will, I guess, save tons and tons of time. Video editing programs are notorious for getting overloaded and crashing, and you lose a ton of progress. So make sure you can go to File, hit Save As, make sure you know where it's saving at on your computer. I'm going to hit Cancel for today. And save often, and you will be in much better shape. Inevitably, somebody will come back with some feedback. Maybe they hate the green on this text. It'll be a lot easier to go into the project file and adjust that color than remaking this whole video from scratch. So make sure you have saved again when you are completely done. And then to export this as a finished .mp4 file that you can share with classmates, professors, throw on YouTube, etc. We're going to first go to the Export tab up here, and we want to make sure our default preset is set to YouTube 1080p HD. Now, what that preset is a recipe for your computer to give you a relatively small file size while still maintaining a good resolution for that video. So your video will look and sound good while still being a relatively small file for you to throw online and not have to wait for days for it to upload. So make sure YouTube 1080 is the preset, and we can select, oh, come on. Select everything in your timeline, go to File, Export, and then give that video a title, Film Demo, and hit Save, and it will begin creating that file. Now this process can take several minutes, so Give it a couple minutes and check up on it, and once it is done, make sure you click on that output link that will directly pop up that video. Give it a playthrough and see that it does play the way that it should. Now that was a really quick run through of HitFilm Express. There is a ton more you can do with this program. If you guys would like some one-on-one help, please visit us at the Multimedia Lab. We'll be happy to walk you through all of these steps and show you even more. That's the video for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.